Hi and welcome along to AFTV Live. We've got a very special guest back again. He asked me if we bring him back. You demanded he came back. He is back. Jay Bothroyd, ex-Arsenal player, Cardiff, Coventry.
A bag of teams.
He played in Japan. Well, Sheffield Wednesday. He played for England once. Only once, but he played for England. Remember that? Right, Jay Bothroyd, listen, absolute pleasure to have you back in the house.
That's good, man.
Yeah, you know what? The last time you was here was just before we were going into our first game of the season against Crystal Palace. And you at that time was saying, you know, going to be a really tough game, had a few doubts on it. But what did you make of the performance?
Yeah, I think it was a good performance overall. I think that all first games of the season are really hard.
You did say that last time you come in.
No one's 100% fit. You won't see 100% fitness for about 4 or 5 games. But I think the way Arsenal played, especially in the first 30 minutes, was really good. It's probably as good as I've seen them play for a long time. I like Jesus. He was floating around. He was dropping deep. He looked a problem, looked really sharp. I thought for that 30 minutes, I thought it was going to be like maybe 4-0. I thought it was going to be comfortable. And the second half kind of was a problem for me. I thought Ben White did well, but I thought that was a lot of really, really good work from Saka and Saliba covering him, because he never really got into a one-on-one situation with Zaha. And the time he did, he pulled him back and got booked. But I think overall, first game of the season, I think it was really good. I think it was a good 3 points. Crystal Palace is a tough place to go, and I think it's a great start to the season. Yeah,
when you say about, I always like to ask this as an ex-footballer, when you say you're not up to speed, no matter how much fitness you've done over pre-season, you're still not completely fit yet. What do you mean by that? Because
you go into
they
games,
played like 4 or 5 games already in pre-season, intense games. So they're still not fit?
No, they have a level of fitness, but you're not going to go full out in a pre-season game. You're not going to go and smash people, and there's not points on the line. You're not trying to get into the Champions League in pre-season. You're trying to get through pre-season with fitness unscathed. No one wants to start the season, with an injury. Everyone wants to be.
What's happened to Reece Nelson and stuff.
Yeah, and even look at Godfrey, broke his ankle. He's gonna miss like 4 or 5 months of a season. So no footballer is going out in pre-seasons giving it 100 and 110% like you would in a league game. So that's what we talk about when we say match fit straight from the beginning. You build that up over a few games, and the start was really good, I thought, especially again, like the first 30 minutes was high intensity, pressing, played at a really, really high level. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah, well, listen, we got the 3 points.
Yeah.
And unlike last season when we got off to that horror start away at Brentford, is a similar type of game though, but this time we stood up to the battle. Now, this week, Saturday, we're at home, first home game of the season. The place is going to be buzzing. It's going to be 35 degrees.
Yep.
It's going to be a real.
That's going to be tough in itself.
That will be tough. It'll be a carnival vibe. I think it will be a carnival vibe. If it was going to be in the shorts.
Well, let's hope if they get the win, it will be.
Yeah. Well, it won't be if you don't get the win. But the expectations are high, and we're all looking forward to this game. But it's a tough game. Leicester, even though Leicester they only drew last week, even though they've been a team that have had a really peculiar pre-season in that they've not, the only club in the top 7 divisions that haven't signed a player.
And there's been talk about some of their big players leaving as well.
Yeah, Fofana, Tielemans, Maddison all leaving.
Yeah.
The possibility of that. What sort of game are you expecting tomorrow?
I'll be honest with you, Leicester's always a team that worries me when it comes to Arsenal. Vardy's always a problem for Arsenal. I think this is a big test to see what the back line's all about now. For Saliba as well. I want to see how he copes with someone like Vardy, this like a speed demon that just wants to go in behind all the time. I think it will be a tough game, but again, it's our first game at home. I expect a big performance at home. Like you said, there's going to be energy, there's going to be a massive atmosphere, and I think the way we played against Crystal Palace, that first 30 minutes, you need to put that kind of performance throughout like 60 minutes of the game now. and then control, you know, the other part of the game. Some players are going to be back. Hopefully, I can see that Fabio Viera. I think he's a really good player. Tomiyasu and Smith Rowe. I think Tomiyasu is a big one because when he played at right back, he was very, very solid. You know, he's not one of those players that's like, you know, he's not a Cafu that's going to run up and down the wing, dribble around people, but he's a steady Eddie. He'll give you like 7 out of 10 every week.
Yeah.
And I think him missing out at the end of the season through injury was a big loss to Arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, listen, was you still playing over in Japan at them times?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying last week that he's an absolute god down there in Japan.
Down there, yeah. He's like, when anyone comes to the Premier League and, you know, from Japan, you're a god. You don't even have to play. If you're there, like, involved in the squad, you're a god. You know, so like the fact that he's playing there week in, week out, doing very well, was great for himself, but great for Japan as well.
Yeah, no, great for Japan, and be great for us to see him back in the team. Mikel Arteta's been giving his press conference today. Some good moments in it. You know what? First of all, right, I've got to run this part of the press conference because the press conference started off with a journalist taking the mick out of Arteta. Listen to this.
I will get something for you guys next time. I paid the fine. Been reintegrating to training this week, all of them. They are in different phases, but some of them will be in the squad tomorrow. Listen, it's a long time since that happened. I cannot go back every time there is another series. I have.
Yo, we're back. Right, that was funny. That was funny. I mean, the journalist asking him straight away about, you know, if he's got his dossier and things like that. And, you know, he's late. Did he pay a fine? I mean, the thing is about this, right? If you watched the All or Nothing documentary.
Yeah, I've watched it. I caught up with the last episode this morning. So, yeah, I've watched it all. But I think most people are just bantering him now because, you know, it is kind of funny him saying, I've got a dossier. You know, I think when it comes to Auba, don't get me wrong, he done fantastic things at Arsenal. He was nothing short of special. But it always gets to that point when you're not performing and you're doing all these things and being late and everything, you become a liability. And at the end of the day, Arteta had to set precedent for the young players at the club. He didn't feel that as Arsenal captain, he was doing what he should be doing on the pitch and off the pitch. He's meant to be a leader. He's meant to lead by example. And I think when we look at Arteta and the way he is, I think you see it in the documentary as well, that he's all about values and his beliefs. You know, you have to be very professional. And he believed that Auba wasn't doing that. So he had to, you know, show him the door.
Okay, well, you know, we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to the Aubameyang thing because he was asked a lot of questions about that in his press conference. But he was also asked about the fitness levels of Tomiyasu. He was just talking about Smith Rowe and Viera, and this is what he had to say.
Reintegrating to training this week, all of them. They are in different phases, but some of them will be in the squad tomorrow.
So that's what he had to say about that, that all three of them are sort of integrated back into the squad. He didn't say which ones are going to be ready to play, but it sounds like it's going to be Tomiyasu and Fabio Viera that are going to be ready to play. You just spoke about Tomiyasu. On Fabio Viera, I mean, I can't wait to see this guy play. I've heard so many good things about him.
He reminds me a bit like he doesn't look, you know, physically strong, anything like that, but he manipulates the ball really well. He's kind of got that bit of, you know, Bernardo Silva about him. I'm not going to say he's as good as that because then there's going to be like some huge expectation, but he does have a lot of.
Everyone's already saying he's the new Bernardo Silva. He's too late.
No, he does have that kind of ability, so I'm expecting to see some good things from him. I think he's another player that is going to be creative, that's going to help, you know, Jesus get that 20 plus needed goals if Arsenal are going to finish in that Champions League spot.
We haven't seen him yet in any of the pre-season games because the first thing we saw was him have a big boot on his foot. He had an injury, so hopefully, you know, he can get some sort. I can't see him starting or anything, but maybe if we are doing really well tomorrow, he may get some minutes near the end. Maybe.
I mean, I think the team that will start will probably be the team that, you know, started the Palace game.
Yeah.
You know, you win
I'd
in
expect
that fashion, you win really well, the manager's really happy with you. Why would he change anything? Like you said, if the game's a bit stale, he might bring those players on. And even if, you know, we're winning in a comfortable situation, I still think that will give them some minutes. Like we just spoke about.
So would you keep Tomiyasu on the bench if he's fit then, and keep Ben White at right back?
Yeah, I think the manager has to. I think you've got to keep it as it is. I think, you know, Ben White done well, the back line done well. So I think he has to keep it the same just for now. But then things change quickly, right? You know, they got some dangerous players. If people are not performing, he has that option where he could put Tomiyasu there. There's more of a natural right back than Ben Smith. I mean, Ben White, sorry.
Ben Smith, who's that? Ben White. Another thing, of course, in this press conference, he kept getting asked questions about, it must be annoying for him, but he's going to get this now.
Yeah.
This is the thing, when you do these documentaries, you're going to get asked these questions. He got asked a question again about Aubameyang, and a journalist asked him, do you have any regrets on your handling of Aubameyang? And this was what he had to say.
Listen, it's a long time since that happened. I cannot go back every time there is another series. I have made my comments on that. I was really clear and honest with my opinion, and what is being done is always been done to defend our club and put the club in the best possible position, and being always as clear, as honest, and as consistent.
Yeah, more questions on Aubameyang. I mean, you were sort of touching on it before.
I think he's in a position. I don't think he's in a position where he can't really talk him down, right? He's not going to insult the guy because you know he did do special things at Arsenal. But watching the documentary and you know making him train by himself, I think that he could have handled that situation better. I was in that situation myself.
Yeah, you see, you're the perfect person to get on the show, right? Because you know, we spoke about it last time you was on. You did have your disciplinary issues, right? I mean, your one probably a little bit more serious than Aubameyang. I don't think Aubameyang threw the ball, took his shirt off and threw it at Arteta. I don't think, that would have been interesting if he'd have done that, or maybe he did do that. Maybe that's why he's been. But listen, you had your disciplinary issues, right? Did that happen to you then? Did you have to train on your own and stuff like that?
Yeah. So when I was at Wolves, it happened to me at Wolves, and it wasn't because I actually did anything wrong. It's just that they wanted to sell me. And I said, yeah, that's fine, but I want to leave on my terms. And they wanted me to go sooner rather than later.
When you say leave on your terms,
as in, I'm not, you know, I want to go to the club I want to go to that suits me, not the club you want me to go to, regardless of who offers, you know, more money or less money. So with that, you know, the manager took my squad number off me. He made me get changed in the youth team dressing room, made me come and train in the afternoons by myself. And that hurts, man.
So like, just making life as uncomfortable for you as possible.
Exactly, yeah. Making it as uncomfortable as possible for me. Like when you're you know just doing disguised running, you know, running up and down the pitch and kicking the ball in the empty net, you can't enjoy that. But the only way you can, you know, smile at the manager is kind of by putting a smile on your face and just getting on with it. You know, if you start rebelling,
tough though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was tough for me.
See, we were sort of discussing the documentary the other day, and you kind of only want to really see one side of the documentary, which is Arteta's side.
You're never going to see both sides,
right? But you know, you're giving me an insight now into what his side must be like, because you've gone from being the club captain, and then he was doing the same thing, wasn't he? He was coming in, and he was like, the coach was saying to him, right, today you're just going to train on your own.
That's a part I think he could have handled better, because at the end of the day, he's a professional footballer. He was full of praise in the interview now. And if you're full of praise like that, you know, he still did that when he was at the club, right? So why did he treat him that way when he was there? And he says he's a great person, he was a great player. Keep him around the squad still. You know, let him train with the squad. You don't have to be that disrespectful where you're just making him come in, train by himself, and then send him home. That's just demoralising, you know, as a player.
And for you, when you was going home at night, how did you feel?
Yeah, I felt awful because, you know, you're going there and, you know, you're training with just basically doing running. You're not playing football no more because you're not training with nobody, and then you go home and it's just like Groundhog Day every day. You know you're going in the next day, and you know you're going to be running again. You know you're going to be by yourself, and it's just not enjoyable. You're not doing the thing that you love doing anymore, and it's really, really hard. What I did was,
who did you talk to, and who did you?
For me, like I was going in with a player called Gary Breen.
Oh yeah, I remember Gary Breen. Yeah,
and he used to play at West Ham and everything, and he was pretty close to the manager. And he said to me, "Listen, you're not going to play anymore, but the only thing you can do is train hard and get yourself right for your next club." And so for me, when he told me that, I got my head around it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this guy upset me no more. I'm going to come in and smile every day, even though I'm doing something that I don't want to do. And that's the only way I can kind of grin and bear it.
So how long did you have to do that for?
About 4 months.
4 months?
Yeah, 4 months.
So when I think about it, the Aubameyang thing's probably not as long as that. His one was probably from the start of this, sort of December, innit?
Yeah, no, 3 months. 3
the end
months.
Of the transfer window.
Yeah, I mean, so his one wasn't that long, and then he jumped on a plane and went to Spain.
So can we then see why he'd be desperate to try and get away to, especially when it's a team like Barcelona?
Yeah, because when I watched the documentary, like no one even knows he went to Spain. It was just like Auba's in Spain, and it's like, really? So no one even knew. But
a lot of people were looking on that and saying, "Oh, well, that's terrible. How can he go to Spain?"
But he took that stance because he was upset with the club and the way he was treated.
Yeah.
I don't, if they're not going to show respect for him, why is he going to show respect for them when it comes to him getting his next move?
So when you was frozen out, right, was there any players apart from you said Gary Breen, any of the other players sort of reaching out to you and saying, "Yo, what's happening?" Or
no, there were some days that I went in. There were some injured players there, like in the afternoon and whatnot, and you speak to them and people would say, I can't believe he's treating you like this. Why is he treating you like this? But at the end of the day, what can they really say? I can speak about it, but nothing's going to change.
So did you get the move to where you wanted to go?
Yeah. So in the end, I ended up going to Cardiff, and it was a fantastic time for me there.
Yeah, you did well there.
Yeah. I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened. But I just remember at the time being really low, and I know the way he felt in that situation. From going from club captain, breaking records, all these things that he achieved at Arsenal, to then just being frozen out, not to train with a first team squad. And I tell you what was, I looked at as well. It seemed like he had a really good relationship with the team.
Yeah.
And even though Arteta didn't want him to play, maybe he would have had a positive effect on the team if he could just train with them. Because he does have that experience, and he can speak to the young players. He can advise the young players still. I don't think he's the type of person that's not going to do that. The manager wants him to leave. That's one thing, but then keeping him away from the squad completely is another thing. Yeah.
There was more cheeky questions from the guys in the press conference, and obviously Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's been linked with a move to Chelsea. Which I don't want to see him go there, please, but he could end up at Chelsea. And one of the journalists asked a question to Mikel Arteta. This was again really funny. He said, "Will Chelsea want the dossier that you kept on Aubameyang?" And this is what he had to say.
Auba is an exceptional player. He did so much for us. He was our captain, and I think we have to be grateful, very grateful as well, for what he did for this club.
So if he does come back to the Premier League and comes back to the Emirates, you feel he'll get a good reception?
I hope he does, because I think he deserves that. There are moments in life, there are moments in your career, and sometimes the trajectories or the objective of each individual is different to the clubs, and you have to respect that.
Cheeky question, but I like what Arteta said at the end there. I mean, the one thing I'd say with Arteta is that what's happened, but he's not prolonging it. He's not disrespecting Aubameyang. He said, "Listen, he's done great things for the club.
Yeah.
And if he comes back, I'd like him to get a good reception, which I think is the right way to go there."
He handled that in a class way.
Yeah.
That was nice. He spoke about that. He showed the appreciation to Auba for what he'd done to at the club. Obviously, when he was at the club, he was really angry with him because he made a dossier about it, right?
Yeah.
Of all the things he done.
If someone's
all the things he done wrong.
If someone's making a dossier on you, you're doomed, innit?
I think
someone's starting to put together, he was saying, "Well, that Jay Bothroyd, man."
But right. I think that's what he would have done for every player, though. But I think that's what he would have done for every player. I don't think it's just Auba. I think there's probably other players that would have been late, and he would have just kept that in file and said, listen, you know, in the future he might have just come and said, listen, you know, you're late here, you're late there, you're late. This can't happen again. So I think that's something he probably would have done.
Chances on that. Remember, he dropped him for that North London derby for being late, and he made it quite clear at that time for being late.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if you're late one time, that's one thing, but if you continue doing it, then, you know, now you're starting to be disrespectful to your teammates and to the manager. So I think that's why, you know, he removed him as captain, and then later on he removed him from the squad. But I still think that's a bit harsh. I still think he could have added value to the team, even if he wasn't to play, even if he was just around the training ground, because it looked like he had a really good relationship with his teammates. We heard some players say, you know,
Ramsdale said, I miss him.
Yeah, I miss him, exactly. So, and Ramsdale's only been there 1 minute, you know, so it's not like he had a real long-standing relationship like Laka did. So I think that, you know, he would have been a positive influence around the dressing room, even if he wasn't going to play.
I heard Martin Keown on the radio this morning, and he was saying that he felt maybe we made a mistake on it, right? In that we didn't replace him, and we didn't get the top 4, and then we sent him out to Barcelona, and he scored goals that got them into the top 4. And he was just sort of saying that, you know, he felt that, you know, he goes, yes, it's the manager's decision, but by not replacing him, did we make a massive error?
Like I just said to you, you know, if you're scoring goals week in, week out, and you're that main guy that's doing that, when you have these little misdemeanors like being late and things like that, they'll be excused because you're performing.
Yeah.
As soon as you're not performing, now you're a liability.
Yeah.
Now I can get upset with you. Now I can punish you, and I think that's what happened. In, you know, the way the season finished, you would think that Auba could have added to the fact that Arsenal weren't really scoring goals, and, you know, he's a goal scorer. But there was a point where, even though Auba weren't there, Arsenal was still winning games, and they was in a position to finish in the top 4. Those 3 games that we spoke about last week, you know, Southampton, Brighton and Palace, those are the ones that sealed our fate of getting in the Champions League, I believe. But, you know, it's easy to say in hindsight.
Yeah, in hindsight, everything's easy. Listen, the one thing I think, I look on it like this, right? We ain't there. On either side, we ain't there, right? But the one thing I've got to give Mikel Arteta a lot of credit for is he had a very, very tough decision to make.
And he stood by it.
He made it, and he stood by it. And we're seeing scenarios now. I've got 2 scenarios in mind. I'm seeing one at the moment at Manchester United, where with Ronaldo, they know they've got a very tough decision to make. Do they get rid of Ronaldo? Do they just say to him, right, see you later, you're toxic around the place, which he seems he is at the moment.
Toxic, though. Toxic? I don't know about that. I think that he demands. He has demand. He's demanding.
He wants to leave.
Yeah, but he's because Man United are not in a position to win, right?
No, Man United are not in the Champions League, so he's like, I want to go. And he's made that quite clear. He didn't turn up to the pre-season tour.
But if they was
he left at half-time in a recent game.
Yeah.
Those are reasons. If that you think about it, if that was Mikel Arteta, he'd be like, hey, hold on a minute.
100%.
You're disrespecting the club, out you go. So I'm saying, with Arteta, he made a strong decision and he stuck by it. I'm looking at United. Nobody's taking control of this situation. Are they? The managers, there's rumours that they even call Fergie in to try and help with it. I mean,
but Fergie's Ronaldo's, you know, Fergie and Ronaldo got a really strong
relationship. I know
relationship.
that, but what about the manager? The manager's there. That should be his job.
But I think
in the case of Arteta, whether you like it or not, he made a very strong and tough decision that wasn't popular at the time, but he made it, and he's moulding that team to how he wants it, and he's showing everybody else that if I've got to make a tough decision, I'll make it. I don't care who you are.
But also, Robbie, what you have to understand about Man United is, you know, at the end of the day, football is a business, right? And someone like Cristiano Ronaldo at your club, he's got huge marketing value. He's selling shirts like ridiculously.
But to the detriment of your performances.
But, I mean, the thing is, I think if Man United had gone out and showed intent from the beginning in the window and started signing players, then I don't think nothing would have happened. I don't think he would have reacted this way. The fact that Man United's transfer window has been just awful.
Yeah, but you ain't the manager, is he?
No, but
your job is on the pitch.
But when you're that big a player, you expect to have some insight, you know, where we go with this, who you signing, who's coming in. He has that, he's earned that right that he can go and speak to the, the people on the board or whoever it is, that, director of football, and say, what players are coming in. And if they say, we don't know yet, then that is not a club where he wants to be, where he thinks, where is this club actually going?
Right, what about the other scenario and situation that I see at the moment is Tyrone Mings at Villa. Now,
that's a difficult situation.
I saw the press conference from Steven Gerrard where he just said, listen, he weren't my captain. I inherited him. I never wanted him as my captain in the first place. And then he's been dropped out of the team now as well. And he was a captain, and he's lost that to John McGinn. And again, I'm looking at how Arteta handled his situation to that one. That one looks messy. The Aubameyang one was a big, big decision to make, but I think Arteta did it in a way in which he never really completely threw Aubameyang under the bus publicly, did he? He said, listen, there's no way around it. He had to tell people that I've had to drop him because it's been late. I'm sure there's more to it than that. But this one, the Mings one, the other day when I was looking at it, it was a bit uncomfortable, that one.
It's an awful situation, isn't it? I think at the beginning, when Steven Gerrard announced that McGinn was going to be captain, he said, and there was talk that Tyrone Mings handled it really well, but he's still going to be bitter. He's not going to come out and say, I hate this, I want to leave. He still wants to show that he's a professional, when it comes to his craft, and a professional around the training ground. So he's not going to come out and say, I can't believe he's done that to me, because ultimately he still wants to stay at Villa and he still wants to play. But he will be bitter with that. But I think McGinn's one of their best players.
Yeah, no, he's a good player.
Tyrone Mings, I'm not so sure if Steven Gerrard fancies him. The fact that he's dropped him, the fact that he's dropped him shows us that he doesn't. So I think Steven Gerrard's looking at it and saying, okay, McGinn's, arguably one of the first names on the team sheet. I want him to be my captain.
Whatever we think, right, the one thing we also know with this Arteta thing is that the board, they backed him.
100%.
They backed him because you heard them even in the Aubameyang.
I said that to you, it seemed like they want to keep him.
It seemed like they wanted to keep him.
Yeah, we need to get them back on side. We need to get them in the room talking again.
But Arteta that's what I'm saying. He made a tough decision. He stood by it. And, that bodes well, really, doesn't it, in the future, we know that we've got a guy at the top he's in charge. He's the boss.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's made that, the only negative I would say is the way he treated Auba, letting him train by himself. The other part, I think, is really good. I think he said, I'm the guy, I'm the manager, you do what I say, or you can leave. I like the analogy he used, like the duck or the rabbit. I thought that was really good because, you have to see things my way. If you don't see them my way, then you can spin. So I thought it was really good.
Did you ever have any of them things when you were playing any... any duck and rabbit things?
I didn't have the duck and rabbit, but obviously managers says, listen, you see your things your way, but you need to see my things my way because this is my team.
When he was playing at Cardiff, speakers set up with Swansea fans singing on the training ground, any of that?
No, nothing like that. I tell you what. To be honest though, Dave Jones, I think his biggest quality was his man management, and he did that with us. He would give some players leeway and he would rein some players in and say, hey, you can't do that. But again, if you're performing, it will give those players more leeway because he knows how valuable they are to the team. And ultimately, if the team's doing well, he's doing well and he's going to keep his job.
Was you ever late?
I was actually. I was late. I remember it was at Arsenal. There was an FA Youth Cup game and we was playing against Watford.
No discipline at Arsenal, did you?
I had to, what the thing was? I was a completely different person to the one I am now. But I remember we had an FA Youth Cup game. I forgot what round it was, and I was starting. So we played Watford, and I probably lived the closest to the ground at the time when I was living in Archway, and I was late. And I remember he put me on the bench, and I was fuming. And I came on I think I came on at half time and done really well. But I said for myself from then, I said, you know what? I prefer to just be early and wait around for an hour than be late because, at the end of the day...
being a captain as well, being late, it's not good enough, is it?
Again, if you're late one time, it can happen. But, when the club give him permission to go away, to spend time with his mum for whatever reason, and then he is disrespectful by turning up late, that's even worse, you know, because he's had special permission to go and do that.
Yeah.
And then when you turn up late, just like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's been very interesting watching the documentary. Let's get into some of your comments, loads of them coming in. Jason says Arteta did also mention that he opened up, so maybe he felt like Aubameyang was taking advantage of some of the agreements they had. That's kind of what you're saying. Ash says, big up, Jay. From what you've seen of Arteta, would you have liked him as a manager? Do you find him inspiring or cheesy? How does he compare?
I'll be honest. At the time when he first got appointed, I think I came on here before he got appointed, and I was saying I'm not sure he's the guy. I'm still sitting on the fence with that because I need to see Champions League football this year. But there's some things that I did like that I've seen in that documentary. I like the way he spoke to players. He did have some speeches that I thought were really good. There were some things that I didn't like. You know, letting the cameraman do a team talk.
Right, it worked.
I wouldn't like if I'm a manager, I want to do those kind of things myself because that's what I believe in.
Something different, isn't it?
I wouldn't do that personally, but he did. I don't like the fact that he was playing, you know, "We'll Never Walk Alone."
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't like that. I thought that was a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
But I think, listen, I think a lot of Arsenal fans will be saying the same thing as me when they say you've spent £330 million now, you know, the most in Europe. You have to deliver at least Champions League football and a good cup run. But the minimum is Champions League football, especially after finishing 5th last year. The only way you can go forward and say you've had a better season than last year is Champions League football.
Yeah.
So if he can't achieve that with his team and that budget, then there's going to be massive questions asked.
Yep, fair enough. Our prep team says we didn't lose top 4 because we sold Aubameyang. He was not scoring and was lethargic in the press. We lost because we lacked squad depth in the place of KT and TP.
I probably would agree with that.
I think that had a he makes a great point. I also do feel though we lack goals, and I was just always like, where's the replacement? I was cool with his decision to, you know, move Aubameyang on only if you bring someone else in.
See, this is what I'm like. If we're talking about Ronaldo, I'm saying that about Ronaldo. If you're willing to let Ronaldo go, you need to bring someone in that can replace those goals. But Auba. But Auba wasn't scoring. He wasn't having a good season, and it got to a point. One thing I would say about Auba, and this is me, you know, talking from a footballer's point of view. You know, I would like to think I'm a student of the game, and you know, people might call up and say, "Oh, what have you done?" and blah blah blah, that they always do. But at the end of the day, Auba got to be a player that, if he doesn't score, he doesn't bring that much to the team. And I always talked about Laka. Regardless of Laka having a poor goal scoring record, he brought a lot to the team. Yeah. He could hold up the ball. He could bring other players into it. And if Auba had a bit of that without scoring, he would have been playing. But because he didn't really participate much if he wasn't scoring, again, he became a player that would get subbed.
And you see the type of players that that Arteta likes in now. You're seeing Gabriel Jesus, how much, you know...
You see his work rate.
His work rate as well as the goals, you know. Freddie Usa says, breaking. Arsenal is just messing with Robbie on Tielemans. So he had to come up with a Tielemans catchphrase until the next summer when he joined for free. The Tielemans thing, we'll be facing Tielemans tomorrow in that Leicester game. And
we get to see how good he is.
We get to see. Well, hopefully, we don't get to see that he's too
yeah,
good.
exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's
think
an audition for him, isn't it?
I think the game that, if Arsenal are playing the game that's been reported, as in, you know, we'll wait and try and get him on a free. That's a dangerous game, because there's going to be teams out there that are willing to pay more money than Arsenal, and you know, his agent's going to be doing his job. He's going to be shopping around to all the biggest clubs in Europe. And a lot of the biggest clubs in Europe might look at Tielemans and say, you know what, he could be a great addition to our squad, and he's free. So I think if Arsenal are going to do the business, just do it now. You know, Arsenal need a midfield player of Tielemans' quality. You know, for me, he is a player that I would definitely get done from now.
Yeah. Gunnar Down Under says Gakpo is exactly what we need. Martinelli is great, but not enough end product from him. We need goal contributions, plus Gakpo's stature is beast mode for the Premier League. Gakpo, of course, of PSV.
I mean, one thing I would say, when players come from Holland, they don't always adapt well and do well. Look at Ziyech, he was smashing it. Well. Yeah, Van der Beek, he was smashing it in Holland and doing well in the Champions League, and they come to the Premier League and it's completely different. Don't get me wrong, I think he's got quality, but in my personal opinion, I still feel like Arsenal need a striker. I know they don't grow on trees, I know they're expensive, but for me right now, I wouldn't sign Gakpo. I'd go for the midfield, and I'd be looking at a right back as well, because I think that's needed. Tomiyasu's there, Ben White can play there, but I'd like a natural right back as well, just in case. You've got Tierney now on one side, you've got Zinchenko as well. I think that's healthy competition. When you're competing in 4 competitions, playing in Europa League on a Thursday and then having to play on a weekend, that's tough. So you need a good squad that can compete in all competitions.
Yep, no, definitely. And the game tomorrow, like you said, it's going to be a really tough game. It's a winnable game. Arsenal really got a chance here to get off to a good start this season. I mean, we've got Leicester.
I said the first 5 games. The first 5 games, they're all is it first 5?
Yeah, I mean,
think first 5 are all really winnable. If you
look at our record against Leicester, especially in recent times, has been very good. We've got Bournemouth away next week. That's definitely a winnable game, although caution, they did beat Villa there, but they beat Villa 2-0 when everyone thought that Villa were just going to turn up there and beat them, so it won't be an easy game, but winnable game. Fulham at home, another winnable game, and then we go to play Man United, and the way they're playing at the moment, that's winnable too.
This is the Arsenal Football Club we're talking about. When we're talking about Bournemouth, I'm not interested in what Bournemouth have done and what they can do, and the same with Fulham. No disrespect to them. If Arsenal go about their business correctly, if they're up for that game, they have more talented players than Bournemouth and Fulham. So when I talk about going to those kind of places, I'm saying that is a must win. It's not about, it's a tough place to go, it's this, it's that. There's loads of tough places to go, but you've got better players. This is Arsenal Football Club. The expectation needs to be raised. It's not a case of, it could be a sticky game or this or that. If Arsenal are looking to get in the Champions League, which we are, they're must-win games.
Do you know what, right? I think it needs a mindset change from the players and the fans, because that's the thing. We need to, and I was chatting to Lee Judges the other day, and he goes, the thing that he liked about that game the other day at Palace is that Arsenal fans were going there saying, fancy this tonight, 2-0, 3-0.
Growing up, I used to watch all these games and be like, regardless if we go 1-0 down, we're going to win this game still.
I mean, listen, when we used at Highbury, I'd go every game, I'm like, they'd be like, oh, Robbie, United away. I go, 2-0?
Yeah.
2-1?
There was an expectation. Now it's like...
There's an expectation, but now it's like, like you said, it was a tricky game, man. Tough place to go.
And I always hear excuses
every
as well.
place in the Premier League is a tough place.
I'll tell you what the worst thing is. When I hear excuses about, we had injuries, we had this, we had that. Every team has injuries. But at the end of the day, when you're playing, and again, no disrespect to these lower teams, this is Arsenal Football Club. They still have better players than the likes of Brentford, the likes of Norwich, all these teams from last year. So we should be winning comfortably still. It's if you go about it right, if you're up for that game. That's the difference.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Milo says Gundogan last season with City might get Tielemans. So he's saying, so he says Gundogan's last season with City, they might get Tielemans, he's saying. And Elijah says Arteta will never live down Speakergate, as taking the MC is what Brits do. But it's a shame that he won't get the credit for the out-of-the-box thinking. But I give him a lot of credit. I've liked that with Arteta. I did find the speaker thing a bit cringy, but I like the fact that he's trying different things. He's trying... Now, listen, that's me as a fan saying that. You as an ex-player, you as a player that was there.
Yeah, I think I was.
Do you like all the out-the-box stuff, or do you?
I mean there's other things that I have liked, like I said, but that in particular, I don't mind the drawings.
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't mind the drawings. But that one with the speaker, I thought that was like, again, Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's not like, you're a championship team playing against Liverpool. This is one of the biggest clubs in the world. I didn't think they needed to do that. I don't think he needs to do that. But, if he's happy to do those things, I would. If I was in that squad, I probably would have been like, what's this about?
This guy here, Chatiana Cole, I hope I pronounce it right. He said, breaking news, AFTV signed Rafinha. I think he's talking about
No, boss, I ain't got that wet look.
Oh boy. Well, he was a striker, similar to like Rafinha, you know what I mean? So, Rafinha was a forward player.
Yeah.
But, when you was playing, I love to get insights because you're an ex-player. Did you like them shouty managers? What did you like? Did you like more sort of Wenger type manager comes to?
I have to say, I love Wenger.
Right? Or did you like guys that, like you saw Arteta? You're soft! I threw down the thing at you.
I like that part of it, because that game annoyed me against Forest. No disrespect to Forest, and he did play young players, but I didn't see those young players stand up and be counted. That's an audition for you to say, you know what, I want to be part of this team. I want to be in this first team squad all the time. None of them did that, and that was a poor result. So I like the way he reacted in that moment. To be honest, me personally, I remember, Wenger, raised me, and when I was always there, he never outed people and shouted at people. It was always more encouragement and putting your arm around someone.
Never ever.
Not
Did
really.
he ever shout?
I never heard it. Definitely not on the training pitch. He never shouted. It was more encouragement. Me personally, I think there's a time and place for it. Sometimes you need to liven your team up. But again, this is man management. For me personally, I like Dave Jones. He used to put his arm around me a lot and encourage. Maybe he might take me to one side. I like when the guy took Laka to one side and said, look, and showed you. That's really good, I think. Because you're not outing someone, you're just pulling them to one side and saying, listen, I think you can do this better, I think you can do that better, and show them. Some people are visual, some people like to hear things and they can take it on board. But I think that was really good. For me personally, I just think there's a time and a place, but you have to manage each player different, and there's a time to shout and there's a time to encourage. And I think Arteta's shown that in some of the clips, like when they played against Man City and it was a great performance but lost the game. I think that was really good that he said, listen, you played fantastic. You lost against one of the best teams in the world, in my opinion, but it was still a very good performance.
You ever get how many red cards you get in your career?
One. Yeah.
It must be lonely. That struck me like in the documentary,
that's one.
Gabriel getting the red card, you go back to the change room, you're just there on your own.
Do you know what? I said that when I was watching it. I said that last night to my missus. I said, I only got sent off once, but I went back to the change room and I was like, man, I've let the team down here. Like, what if we lose this game? And I remember thinking, because this was at Blackburn, so Mark Hughes come in and was like, we better get a result, which was even worse. Now I'm sweating. I was like, man, like it was even worse. But I can understand the way Gabriel would have felt. But again, the first booking was silly. I think that's one big problem with Arsenal is the disciplinary. It's really bad.
It's awful last season.
Yeah, and I
cost
think
us.
Yeah,
that's another thing that
100%,
cost us. How many red cards? How many penalties we gave away? Yeah. That is something as well that we really. I mean, I'm interested to see that the one when we played Tottenham.
Yeah,
because the players just looked like over fired up.
I mean, it's a derby game. You can never be fired up for a derby game, especially Tottenham. But I tell you what, I do like. See, like someone Fernandinho.
Yeah,
he's smart about it. So he'll make fouls, but he'll just nudge you over, so he doesn't take them yellow cards. Like Fernandinho made a career out of it, just knocking people over on the halfway line, stopping play. I think Arsenal's midfielders, Arsenal as a team, I think they need to be more experienced and play the game more rather than get involved in them silly situations where you're tugging people back where it's obviously a yellow card. You got to look at players like Fernandinho and see what he was doing, because he done it so smart and he was fantastic for Man City.
Okay, big up to Casey Morgan. She says, Robbie, love the channel. Big up from Buffalo, New York. Can I get a shout out? Straight's been done for you. Matt Jones says, Jay scored quite a lot of goals for Dave Jones, so the way he was managed seems to have been the right way.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Jones, when I went there, the first thing he said to me was, "What do you want? What do you want from this move?" And I said, "Well, you know, I need to make myself indispensable." And he said to me, "Well, listen, this is a new start for you. You've got the opportunity. You've got the ability. I'm going to give you the stage. Now you have to go and produce." And when he said that to me, it was, you know, it was me kind of saying, right, I'm going to go away now, and every minute of the day, I'm going to, you know, focus on my football. I'm going to recover correctly, and I'm going to do everything the best possible way I can do it and be the best possible player I can be. And, you know, it worked for me. And, you know, that's why he was fantastic for me. He played my style, which suited me. You know, even though I'm 6'3", I was never one of those players that, I don't want to head the ball and run channels. I want to be involved in a game. You know, I want to get 30, 40 touches a game. I'm not interested in like just touching the ball once in a 6-yard box a game and scoring that goal. I want to enjoy it.
Cardiff, when you played Arsenal, right? You was very aerial in that game, and you changed your strategy for that game then.
Yeah,
because you got stuck in roughing us up and all that.
Yeah. I remember Torres smashed me from behind, but he jumped. I got that picture at home, and we swapped shirts afterwards, and he smashed me in my shoulder piece. But no, it was a really good game. But I remember playing in that game at Ninian Park, and it was a really tough game for Arsenal. That pitch was awful, but it was like a cauldron. It was like a really good atmosphere there, and I think it was a draw, but. It was enjoyable, but then when we came back to the Emirates, we lost it.
Licks! Oh, wow. Listen, keep those comments coming in. Listen, it's great to have Jay here. What's this one? Coach Jordash says, Jay, as a player, if you support Arsenal, would you sign for Spurs? Now, that's a very interesting one.
Why never? I wouldn't.
Wait, hold on a minute. So, you know. Just about to say, Spurs, 100 grand a week. Jay, we know you're an Arsenal supporter, but listen, Harry Kane's an Arsenal supporter.
He's not no more, is he? He's a Tottenham supporter. Yeah, exactly.
He's not now, but you've
tough,
seen the pictures.
Listen, as much as players say they support a team, which, you know, they do, like, you know, look at Carragher. I think Carragher supports Everton, right?
Yeah.
I think he does.
Darren Bent. I remember when I met him, I was going, "Oh, you must be gutted." I was something to do with Tottenham, and he goes, "Oh, I'm glad, man." He goes, "I'm an Arsenal supporter."
Yeah.
I got used one of their main players for ages. He's like,
but yeah, he's an Arsenal supporter. But I think in this day and age, you have to make the right move for football reasons. Yes, you know, to play for Arsenal and you support them. Yeah, my dad would kill me, I ain't gonna lie. I'd have the hooligans around my house. No, but if you can play for your team that you support, is a dream come true. But at the end of the day, I think in this day and age, you need to make the right football move for yourself to be successful and have that financial generational wealth, you know, that you're gonna need, because football's only a short career.
True. Ayush says, "Hey Robbie, saw you on the Oxford Union video. It was very nice and I liked it because it was very different from your usual stuff. Would love to see you in India, either pre-season or for the IPL. I'd love to go and watch IPL in India. You ever played in India?"
No, I ain't played in India. I've been a few places, but not India. We had a pre-season in Malaysia. That's what really turned me on to Asia. Like the fans, there was like 60,000 people. It was like the really, really fanatic when it comes to football. But I think the thing I like about Asian fans as well, it's not like England. The fans out there is more like a family day out. So you see like families go to football matches, which is nice.
In fact, they're fanatical in Japan, isn't they?
Yeah. Like stadiums are sold out all the time. And it was really nice. You know, coming to Europe is a bit more daunting, especially when you're coming with your kids. Like, you know, my son's 4 years old now, and he's saying to me he wants to come to the stadium. And I'm like, you know, I want to take you, but I'm a bit, you know, it might scare him. You know, he might find it a bit daunting. So I think I'm gonna wait a bit.
Does he play football?
Yeah, man, he's playing in it. Maybe he can play for Arsenal, man. I'm gonna show him what not to do. He ain't gonna be throwing those shirts, boy. Get some links.
You're training him out on the Hackney Marshes, and he takes your shirt.
Market Road, man. Market Road.
Oh, okay. All right. But So you are right, you know, because my son plays football, and I remember one time I've said this story before. He was playing at a tournament and he got spotted by Tottenham.
And what you say?
Right? No, but fortunately he was already at MK Dons at the time.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have been able to sign for him anyway. But the guy was going, Robbie, what would you do then? What would you do? Because I knew that, I was saying, hey, he ain't playing for you. Like,
Do you know what's funny? Like when I
but
first...
the thing is, when it's not me, is it? It's your son. And like you said, you've got to think about their career,
development.
but it would be...
Like if you said to me now, I don't think Arsenal... When I was at Arsenal, it was one of the best youth systems in the world. Now it's not like that. You know, Man City probably have that, or Chelsea. They're producing a lot of players that are going to play around the world. So I think when it's your own son, you have to look at the best possible destination for him to progress. And, you know, who you support doesn't come into that anymore.
Yeah.
Because you want to see him be... Yeah, it's hard, but you want to see him become a footballer.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, my son's played twice at Tottenham's ground.
Yeah.
At their training ground.
It's lovely.
And it is nice.
It's lovely.
It's all right, you know what I mean? It's okay, you know what I mean? I remember when I went there, like all their coaches and that, they saw me and they were like, come on, they go, this is better than London Coney, isn't it? And I was going, no, it's not.
Do you know
And
what's
they
funny?
go, come on, Robbie, it is. I said, no, it ain't. I go, were you asking me? Were you telling me? I go, it's not, but it was not. It's new, isn't it? It's brand
Yeah,
new.
it's brand new, yeah.
But they spent a lot of money on it.
When we went from the old London Colney to the new one, so it's like Watford's training ground now. I remember, like, I was telling the story the other day. We used to, like, you know, the canteen, it would be like, lunch would be like jacket potato, cheese and beans, sausages for breakfast, chips, all that kind of stuff. We went to the new training ground and all that just stopped. Arsene Wenger was like, nah, you need to have plain spaghetti, plain pasta, water, so there was no fizzy drinks, no juice, nothing. And it was like a culture shock.
Plain spaghetti.
I swear to you, it was plain
Nothing
spaghetti.
on it.
Oil, it'd be like oil and like maybe some Parmesan cheese. But, you know, us being young, we're not used to that. We don't, you know, we hadn't eaten abroad in like Italy and France and places like that. We're not cultured then. We're just like thinking, you know, what kind of food is this? How's this going to help me? You know, I just want to, I'm hungry, I want to eat something I like, you know? But it was a culture shock. But, you know, at the time, that was the best training ground in the country, maybe one of the best in the world.
They're apparently doing a lot of improvements on it again.
Yeah, I think you always need to update your resume. So they're going to have to do some changes to update it again. You know, technology and things like that change all the time. So they're going to need to do that.
And it is strange, isn't it, that Watford's ground is like literally next door. You literally
come over the fence.
Come out. Yeah, he's over the fence. Yeah,
because when
I've been to Watford's one as well. It is.
We moved to the new training ground.
Yeah,
and we used to still train in the old pitches. So like we used to just like walk across as like an alleyway or something like that, and we just climb through the fence, go to the pitches. So even when I started training with the first team, you know, Arsene Wenger used to send someone like Pat Rice over and be like, "Oh, we want Jay today," so you have to just like climb over the fence and just go and train. But it's like basically, I mean, it's next door, like right next door.
Yes,
you can't get closer.
You can't get closer than them two training grounds. They really are literally next door. Literally next door. But listen, back on the game tomorrow now. I haven't had your prediction yet, so I need to get your prediction. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling
Arsenal versus Leicester, first home game of the season.
I think Leicester will get a goal, but I think it'll be 3-1.
That's 3-1. What I said, you know.
3-1. I predicted 3-1. You know, it's funny. Leicester always seem to get that last minute goal. It's like a concert, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I like as well. Ramsdale. I like Ramsdale. The way he was reacting to like goals, even though they was winning games. I like that because it shows that he's got passion. You know, them keepers that, you know, don't ever want to see the ball go in the back of the net, regardless if they win or not. That was really good to see.
I love that about Ramsdale. I'm going 3-1 as well, and I really do think. I don't know. I'm really loving the team this year. You know what I mean? I'm loving some of the players.
After one game.
You know, for me, because I went pre-season. And I saw them playing. I don't know. I'm just like. I'm looking at his team, I'm like, there's something about this team. That I think, though, it does depend on injuries. There's some key players, I feel. If Gabriel Jesus stays injury-free this season...
He's not injured that much anyway. I think...
that's what we used to say about Thomas Partey before. Now look, right? If Gabriel Jesus stays injury-free this season, I think he could get 20 goals.
Premier League goals?
Yeah.
To be honest, Robbie...
It's difficult, but I think he could.
Rob, I think that there's only going to be 4 players that will get 20 Premier League goals this year, and that will be Haaland, Son, Kane, and Salah. I think in this day and age, scoring 20 Premier League goals with the standard it is right now is really, really hard. So, I mean, I hope he can do it, but it's going to take some doing. You know, Arsenal are going to have to start beating teams comfortably like the 4 and 5-1s like Man City does, and Liverpool. We didn't see that last year. You know, hopefully he can be the guy that does it, but it's going to be really, really difficult to get 20 Premier League goals.
Yeah, he brought me right back down to earth.
I mean, I hope he does, but I have to be objective and say, you know, the reality is, it's tough. It is tough. So again, I hope he can do it. But for me, I'd like to see more goals spread out as well. So if he was to score like 15, Saka gets like 10. You know, Smith Rowe gets some, Martinelli gets like 7, 8, 10. You know, I think that way, then you can
I was so glad to see Martinelli score last week, because that's been my only criticism of him, has been the lack of goals. And for him to get off the mark in the first game, he missed that chance earlier on. I was thinking, oh my God, what's that, man? You know, when he hit it wide, when Jesus done that great bit of skill. I was like, yo, Martinelli, man, you're going to be back on this again. And then he got that goal. I was so happy for him.
But you know what? One thing I like about him, his work rate is,
unreal.
You know, is really, really good. He's a danger. You know, he's an outlet as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can play that ball over the top, and you know that he's going to get there because he's that fast.
And he's tricky, isn't he? Like,
tricky. He's got good feet.
He's not an easy guy to defend, is he?
Yeah, he's good. Good in one-on-one situations. Yeah. It's just that last bit, that end product that
he gets that
if he gets that, but again, that's practice, right?
Yeah.
And then if he builds up that confidence, he's the kind of guy that if he scores a few goals at the beginning of the season, it'll click and he'll go in and score like 10, 15 goals in a year. But he needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
And with his performances and his shooting and stuff.
Do you know another player that I'm really, really rooting for this season, and I really want to see him do well, is Eddie Nketiah. I want to see this guy do well. I'm just like, you know, he made a very brave decision to take that number 14 number, right? There's people, why is he getting the 14? It's a big number to take on.
Listen, I've been talking about this with my boys. Numbers don't mean nothing in this day and age.
I think it means nothing, but to some people they do.
To me, it means something. To me, it means something. Numbers to me mean something.
Oh, it does mean.
It means something to me. No, in this day and age, I don't think it does. To me, it still does. So like when I see,
should he have took the 14?
When I see 14 and I see like 10 and number 4, like I look at that and that's nostalgic to me. For me, I think about Viera straight away, Bergkamp, Henry, even Ian Wright, number 8. I think about these things mean something to me. I came up in that generation where numbers mean something. Even at Man United,
so you
Liverpool.
You wouldn't have won number 8 then?
No, I think if you're performing and you're like a top player and you're playing regularly, then you can take that number and hold it. But
he's going to be playing regularly this year. He's in the first team squad.
He's not a starting player.
All right, but why can't he take 14?
Again, like, he took it.
He's backed himself.
He took it. He's backed himself, and that's great.
That's what you.
Yeah, I would have backed myself.
That you was that type of player.
I got a funny story. I remember there was one time when we was in, our group in the youth team was like really vocal and like kind of arrogant. And I remember there was one day we was having like we was catching joke in the canteen or whatever, and Ray Parlour was always the one that would be like, jazzing things up. He's like, Jay, do you think you're better than Dennis? I said, yes, of course I am. See that number 10? I'm taking that off you one day. Dennis Bergkamp. And everyone was laughing. But yeah, I mean, it's good that he's backed himself. And I like that because it shows confidence in himself. But ultimately, he's a squad player because Jesus is there to lead the line. And I mean, he's going to play more often than not because he's the only other one that, if Jesus is not doing it, or Martinelli might move Jesus out to the left and bring on Nketiah. I think he finished the season really good last year. It's good that he's coming through the youth system.
Made an impact when he came on last
week. Made an impact when he came on. He's had a good pre-season, you
Very
told me.
Very good pre-season.
He looks strong. I hope he does well, but it's just, for me personally, if I just look at it from a point of view, a career decision, I'm not sure it was a great career decision because he could have gone to other clubs and played regularly. But again, if he really backs himself and he believes that he's...
Manager loves him.
Why didn't he give him a contract earlier?
I guess so, but he gave him a contract, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he had to because he started playing and he was scoring, and then what do? I don't want to sound disrespectful because I think he's a good young player, but at the end of the day, why didn't they give him a contract earlier? He started scoring and it almost seemed like, well, we have to give him a contract because if he doesn't do it after 1 year, at least we can sell him and get some money for him. For me, he's a really good young player that is a good squad player, and I think he has a big future ahead of him, but I'm not sure when that's going to be because Arsenal have bought Jesus. Jesus is young. Arteta wants Jesus to play down the middle. That's Eddie's position. So he's going to be limited for minutes, but obviously when he comes on, he has to do well. And if he does well, then he can get himself back in the team. And, all of them, I think Jesus is that versatile where he can play on the right, he can play on the left, he can play down the centre, that if one of those are not performing, that's the point where Jesus might move out to the left and then Eddie can play. So it's going to be a big season. Like we said, there's 4 competitions. He's going to get his minutes, and when he does, he needs to perform.
Definitely. Well, listen, we've come towards the end of the show today. It's just flown past. I'll say it again.
It keeps flying.
It keeps flying, man. When you come on, it just goes swoof like that, right? But absolute pleasure having you back on again, man.
Good to be
back,
back
on again soon?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
For sure, man.
We'll
just let me know.
What's the agent?
I didn't even got your number, man. I got a message on Instagram.
I'd give you my number, man. But no, listen, it's an absolute pleasure having Jay on. He really does bring a real insight into what it's like being a player. And I've loved what you said today about, even with the Arteta stuff and that, it's been brilliant, So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much to all of you guys that have been here watching. We are looking forward to the game tomorrow. We got previews for the game coming out. We've got Box to Box out now. There's another preview coming out later on. Also, tomorrow, don't forget, we're all over the game. We're going to be at the game speaking to fans before and after the game. We're going to be doing a watch-along in the studio. And also, we're going to have the full-time show and we break down what's happened in the game and give you guys a chance to send your videos in to let us know what you think. So make sure you get involved with all of that. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV and have yourself a great weekend. And hopefully... not even hopefully. We're getting an Arsenal win. We're getting that. No, I'm going to listen to you now. No more hopefully and all this sort of stuff.
Let's change that mindset. We need to change that mindset.
Mindset's got to change, man. We're winning. 3-1.